But the thing that Lindsay does really well is she sees the block, she reads defenses really well, and that's something that I can see Zwolinski growing into as she progresses throughout the game.
So great block in the middle by the Raiders. And once more, as we said earlier, though, Rockledge really hanging in there, not really, you know, giving up too much.
Right, but on those plays, Merritt Island's going to swing fearlessly. You have to be stopped. No matter if you're in the right position, if you're in the wrong position, you have to be stopped with your momentum going forward. You'll see that Rockledge gets caught on their heels a lot on those plays, which doesn't allow them to get good digs under the ball. It catches them right before they pass the ball because they're standing up and trying to drop at the last second to make the dig. They have to make sure that they're stopped, their balance is going forward so they can dive under that ball, get under it, what we call a knee drive. Get your knees under the ball to pop the ball up in the air.
I was going to ask you if you're Coach Bolton, I mean, when you go back to practice, what kind of actual, you know, drills can you do to help that out?
You throw the ball at their knees and say, dive your knees under the ball and get a dig.
Well, we will have high school highlights overdrive each night at 6 and 6:30. You can catch all the action from the Central Florida and Tampa Bay areas for this fall sports season at 6 and 6:30 weekdays.
Great awareness.
So Eve Shea now, or rather Skylar Lears.
Now it's a great initial swing by Lears. Finding that cross-court shot. When those balls come over on the first play, it tends to scramble your offensive system. So when you do that, as an outside hitter, you're going to get a lot of those scramble plays. You have to make sure that your footwork is efficient and you get back to what we say your point, which is your starting point for your approach, quick. Because that ball, you have to know it's coming right to you in those out-of-system plays.
So Chapman back to serve now. Raiders only down by 2 here.
Great serve.
And Bauer right in position where Mansell and Berberet, but it falls on their side.
And you can see Berberet dove in with her hands at the last second. That's the difference of pressing the block and not pressing the block. She dove in with her hands, and she put her hands in the air, but she didn't press her hands over the net, so the ball trickled actually right in front of her. That's the importance of blocking. You have to get your hands over the net.
And Petkosh.
Great
dives
dig
for that one. Berberet on the other side, and great swing.
And Baker really set that play up. She's a big player. You wouldn't expect, she's a middle blocker. A lot of times middle blockers aren't good passers or good defenders. She sits back there in that defense, makes the dig so that Berberet can go up there and take the swing that she likes, which is that deep line shot.
And a service ace for Rashina Mansell.
And just fearless serving. Again, when you're in these tight matches, go ahead and go up there, serve tough, find the sweet spot between serving tough and making an error.
Once more, Petkosh has it, Lears. And hits it. There's no call, they say he goes just outside the lines. And you look at the body language of Lears. Coach says, you know, one thing that we have to work on with her is being able to not get too frustrated.
And that's that short-term memory I was talking about. In volleyball, it's a game of errors. It's how you bounce back from those errors and who makes less of them. So the quicker you decide that it's not going to affect your play, the quicker you're going to get back in the match for your team, and they'll do a really good job rallying around you.
Speaking of rallies, a good one here as Bauer with the tip, heads up.
And that's something that I don't know if Rockledge has necessarily practiced. When the left front goes in to block a middle attack, the libero has to come in to defend that tip shot. And it looked like a little miscommunication on the defensive side of Rockledge.
And we heard it being yelled from the Raiders bench like, hey, this is a tip. They couldn't react in enough time.
And again, that's getting caught on your heels. Always go forward. Always have your momentum going forward. Great coverage.
Great block by Lears. And Berberet. The dig by Bauer, but home court advantage coming back to haunt the Mustangs.
And again, Berberet really loves that line shot. She's going to eat that up all day. And that ball actually went in the 1-5 seam where she knew that there wouldn't be defenders. That ball was hit really heavy. Bauer sat back on it and tried to pull off it. You can see her pull her arms back a little bit, but it was just hit too strong.
So we're tied at 16 all here. Not any longer. Point Merritt Island. 9 kills now for Zwolinski.
And what Rockledge has done a lot differently is they started to pass well, play better defense, so it allows them to spread the ball across their offense, giving them more offensive opportunities, getting more people kills, and keeping them in this match.
And Baker responds. 3 now for Baker.
And they have to get her activated. They have to get her involved in this play. Swing heavy, swing hard, find those shots, take advantage of the weaknesses in the block.
And so they say it went off one of the Rockledge players. Coach Bolton cannot believe it, not happy with that call.
He's saying, I wish we could jump that high. I love that. I love that. You know, that's the thing. You're typically at mercy of the judge. You know, line judges, they do a really good job of calling the games. And the referees, they work really hard to make sure that the game's called fair no matter where they are. Home court, not home court.
And so these two teams are just trading points here in the second set as Coach Bolton asked for a timeout.
Just another great swing. Finding that seam shot, that right hand of the middle blocker was really undisciplined, flat, not pressed across the net, and you cannot give Zwolinski those kind of opportunities because she sees them. She's so young, but she's so experienced in finding those holes in the block.
And this Merritt Island Mustang team, 5A District 9 champions last year. They've moved districts with the realignment, so now they are District 14. They will face some stiffer competition this year as you've got schools like Bishop Kenny, Bishop Moore, Cardinal Gibbons as well now in Class 5A. And for the Raiders, they're just hungry to win a district championship. They were runners-up to Merritt Island last year.
I think once they get everything kind of clicking on their offense, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. You see glimpses of it. You see in this system that it's just they can't wait any longer to kind of figure it out. You're already almost a third way through the season. You really need to start picking up those things, working well together, and finding what works for you on the offensive side.
And Coach Bolton admitted to us that because he spends so much time with the Cape Coast Volleyball Club, he helped to start up a beach volleyball league out of Cocoa Beach, that sometimes his high school program suffers.
And unfortunately, you know, that's how the business is now of volleyball. I know it sounds silly to call high school business, but a lot of these girls play club. That's where they get recruited. That's where they're going to play at the next level. And so coaches will put a lot more emphasis on that level of play because that's where the opportunity for the girls is. It's a disadvantage for the high school team, but it's such an advantage for them when they move on.
And most of these young ladies on the Merritt Island side play club volleyball. Not as many opportunities.
Wow, great set.
For the Raiders, but big time play there by Rashina Mansell.
And I think that's the system that Bolton wants to run, Coach Bolton wants to run with this Rockledge team. Mansell is a big physical player. He wants to get her those tempo sets because she will beat blocks just like she did there. Great tempo, high inside. She got her feet to the ball and swung on top of it.
So Garrett to Bauer. And again, we see Mansell getting into the action, even though the Mustangs get the point there. It was Glab and Mansell. So you're seeing 6-1, 6-2 at the net for the Raiders.
Right, and the thing about that block was she was pressed over the net. It's just her hand was faced the wrong way. Those are those finite details that you just have to tweak along. And those are hard things to teach. Those are like advanced skills that are, you just have to sit there in the gym, grueling, train, press that left hand over the net, press the left hand over the net. If they're already picking up and getting it as the game goes along, I can't imagine what's going to happen when the season goes along and they get more comfortable and they figure out what their opponent's going to do throughout the match.
So Mansell in the middle, and she goes back at it one more time. Great heads-up play by Berberet. And now it's Lears's turn. Off the fingertips, point Merritt Island.
And I really love how Anna Garrett is working this offense for Merritt Island. She's setting really well, pushing the ball around, but Lear's just going up there. Is a little hesitant in the last few points to go up there and swing. I think that play will get her that confidence back.
And you mentioned the name Anna Garrett so often. Hard to believe that it's just her second year really picking up those setter skills, but a very high volleyball IQ.
Yeah, you see her on that last play. She got the solo block. Not many setters think offensively and defensively like that. They think, okay, I have to quarterback the offense, not, okay, I have to play all around. I have to play defense. I have to block really well for my team.
And you can watch the game of the week online, BHSN Live on BHSN.com. Make sure you check it out. It's a new feature that we have here on Bright House Sports Network at BHSN.com. And a lot of people love to tune in. If you can't see it actually on television, you can always find your mobile device or your tablet. I know you have one of those.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I told my mom, about that. And she, they're in Missouri, so they don't get to watch. But she's like, yay, I finally have an opportunity, to do something. So she'll probably be a Bright House subscriber, even though she doesn't live here.
We'd like to hear that here. Mansell coming off that right side. And Mansell is becoming more and more of a threat for the Raiders.
And when they activate her, you can see she gets more and more confident, and their offense moves along with it. They're hanging in this match as opposed to that first set when it was kind of a runoff by Merritt Island. But as they get their offensive system more comfortable, they're going to fire those balls to Mansell as well as Baker.
So a free ball hit over by Skylar Lears. Bauer getting a tip on it. And they're calling a net under the net. So 23-22.
Down refs are really aware of that because that's where the injuries can come. If some girls comes under the net, they used to have this. They had this rule where your foot had to be all the way over, but I think their down judges are playing that a lot safer now because there's such a risk for injury, knees, ankles, and they do a really good job of being observant of that.
So Becca Bauer serves up, set point for Merritt Island. And a service error goes right into the net, so we're not just yet. Rockledge still has life as Berberet goes back.
And a rare error from a senior in a tough match. She's played at the biggest stage and at this level, and that's just something that's very uncommon from a player like Bauer.
Berberet with the serve, transferred in from Michigan. Coach Bolton says she's been a nice addition. And just going all out for it, could not get it to go over the net. So that's the second consecutive set that Merritt Island has won. They are one away. Can the Raiders fight their way back? But it's all Mustangs here in this second set. More to come from Merritt Island on the Bright House Sports Network Game of the Week. 9 kills for Becca Bauer, and boy, you said we like math. Let's go with this. 4 AP classes, probably a 4-point plus GPA. I mean, this young lady is just quite impressive, as are many of the young ladies for this Mustangs team.
And you'd be amazed by how much in-class IQ translates to this game. It's such a game of smarts. You have to be able to read things really well. It is almost like a math equation. Okay, if I do this and this, how can I get to this answer? And that's, I think, why she's so successful in this game, is because she knows how to read things and get to the core, the end of it, the end result, what's going to be successful. And she's just a great all-around player, and I really love to watch her play.
Could she have been more successful with six
yeah.
fingers?
She should have been a setter if she had 6 fingers.
So we're off for set number 3. And there's a discrepancy on the court. Point goes to Rockledge.
Sounds like Merritt Island's putting the argument that Garrett raised the ball almost like a lift to set the ball over the net, which actually gave Merritt Island more of an advantage. I don't know the ruling on that one as much. I think it's a good call because the setter is back row. Technically, it would be a back row attack, but because there was a third touch to the ball, I don't know if it's a great call. But